Picture bustling cities, not swallowed by urban sprawl, but literally swallowed by sand. It's the stuff of legends. Think Iram of the Pillars, Ubar, or the mirage-soaked tales from Arabian Nights, where entire civilizations disappear like a magician waving a dusty wand. Explorers, naturally dressed in khaki, once dreamed of stumbling upon sunken palaces stacked with gold, wisdom, and maybe a stray sphinx or two. Here's the punchline. Most of these cities didn't pull a Houdini vanish. Nope, their disappearing act was less abracadabra and more bad real estate. Shifting sands, drying rivers, and a healthy dose of wish we'd checked the weather app turned these urban hotspots into, well, not-so-hot spots. Today's researchers use satellites to spot ancient roads snaking beneath the dunes, proof these places existed exactly where now there's nothing but a scenic sea of sand. Modern cities, take heed. Location, location, location still rules, especially if your future zip code might be Dune Avenue. In an era of climate change and shrinking water supplies, these ancient warnings aren't just buried, they're urgent. Just as the desert hides its vanished cities, so too does history obscure the true story of figures like Marco Polo. Did Marco Polo really trek across Asia, or did he just binge scroll through medieval TikTok and spin tales for clout? Meet the 13th century's hottest travel influencer, Marco Polo. Picture him with a notebook and suspiciously dodgy pajamas, jotting down stories of silks, treasures, and Mongol emperors, all for that sweet, sweet Venetian street cred. The legend? The Polo family's epic journey to Kublai Khan's court, where Marco supposedly hobnobbed with Mongol royalty, catalogued fireworks, and feasted on delicacies. But wait, his account conveniently skips the Great Wall and chopsticks. That's like touring Paris and forgetting the Eiffel Tower or the baguettes. Fishy, right? Some historians nod knowingly. Others raise impeccably groomed eyebrows. Venetians guard their Marco myth like priceless gelato and their tourist trinkets, while skeptics wonder if he just lifted stories from other Silk Road chatterboxes. Maybe he had an early version of Google Maps. Recalculating route. But hey, this makes a killer book. True or fictional, Polo's tales ignited Europe's obsession with the East, proving that a good story and a splash of travel blogging flair can change the world without even needing a selfie stick. While Marco Polo's journeys continue to spark debate, the allure of exotic treasures such as the golden peaches captivates imaginations across centuries. Golden peaches sound like something plucked straight from a fairy tale. But what if I told you their history is juicier and far more scandalous than any reality TV reunion? Legends say these elusive fruits were so coveted, emperors actually waged wars just to snag a slice. Because nothing screams imperial power like a fruit bowl stocked with the ultimate status symbol. The myth? People love imagining literal golden peaches, shimmering on ancient trees, waiting for someone with the perfect hair and a destiny to pluck them. But in Chinese mythology, these weren't your average juicy snacks. They were cosmic VIP passes to immortality, doled out by the Queen Mother of the West every 3,000 years. Talk about an exclusive club. Only gods and those with epic patience get a taste. As centuries rolled on, peaches, definitely not golden, became the go-to tokens of luxury, political power, and the occasional hush-hush bribe in imperial courts. Today, the only golden peaches you're likely to see are art class projects, hanging out next to those spray-painted papier-mâché pineapples. So while literal immortality still eludes us, sorry, 30-year-old me, the allure of the golden peach lives on. And that's just the beginning, because when it comes to fruit legends, the juiciest stories always stay right at the core. Beyond tales of mythical fruits, the discovery of the blonde mummies in the Tarim Basin adds another layer to the mysteries of ancient wonders. Imagine uncovering 4,000-year-old mummies with flowing blonde locks in the heart of the Chinese desert. Move over, Indiana Jones. You've got some serious competition. Welcome to the Tarim Basin, a remote, sun-scorched stretch of modern-day Xinjiang, better known for camels and sandstorms than runway-ready hair. Yet, as archaeologists brushed off the centuries, what emerged looked less like dusty relics and more like the world's oldest Head & Shoulders ad. Impeccably preserved bodies sporting European features. High noses, light eyes, and hair so luscious you'd swear someone in the afterlife was begging for just a trim. Let's bust a myth. These aren't Vikings on a Silk Road vacation, nor did they wander in after missing the boat to Valhalla. They predate Vikings by at least a millennium. Genetic detectives traced them back to ancient Indo-European tribes, notably the Tocharians, whose wanderlust would put modern backpackers to shame. How the preservation? Thank the desert's natural freeze-dry effect. No miracle anti-aging cream needed. Surrounded by multicultural textiles, artifacts, and burial customs, it's clear the Tarim Basin was the original cultural melting pot, a crossroads where East, West, and everything in between mingled. These mummies prove it. Migration, trade, and hair envy have had a long-standing global cameo. Understanding the origins of these mummies calls for deciphering languages, much like unraveling the enigma surrounding the polyglot interpreters. Picture a room where 10 world leaders argue in 9 different languages, but nobody reaches for Google Translate. Enter the interpreters, linguistic superheroes who leap from Mandarin to French to Swahili faster than most of us can locate hello in a phrasebook. The myth? These wizards popped out of the womb fluent, raised by UN diplomats and parrots squawking in a dozen tongues. Reality chuckles at this bedtime tale. Interpreters earn their capes through years of grueling study, relentless practice, and enough coffee to power a small cafe. Their main event, simultaneous interpreting, the Olympic triathlon of listening, translating, and speaking all at once. Because why settle for hard when you can have impossible? It gets juicier. They must decode idioms, survive insider jokes, and translate the occasional impassioned rant, usually only making sense after 3 state dinners. One slip and voila, World War meme ignites. Unsung heroes. They vanish into the background, unless someone drops an outrage so spectacular it breaks all language barriers. If interpreters formed a band, their debut album would be Lost in Translation and Loving It. The skill of these interpreters was as vital as the elusive sky mirrors of desert oases, whose reality teeters between mirage and miracle. Ever squinted at a distant shimmer in the desert and wondered if you'd just scored a complimentary mirage alongside your sunburn? Welcome to nature's version of reality TV, mirages starring in horizons near you. For centuries, travelers have staggered toward what seemed like dazzling blue lagoons, only to have the desert serve up sand with a side of disappointment. Turns out not every oasis you spot is your parched imagination playing a cruel prank. Most mirages? Just science showing off. Hot air bending light from the sky, crafting an optical puddle. No water, just a sneaky gotcha that humbles camels and tourists alike. Legends abound with would-be explorers chasing watery illusions, scoreboards reading, sand, 1, thirsty travelers, 0. But unlike mirages, real oases don't disappear when you get close. Thanks to satellites, modern oasis hunting has evolved from an extreme sport to a casual game of Google Maps. Next up, why actual oases are the unsung heroes, ecological life rafts in vast seas of sand. Amidst the desert's illusions lie stolen relics, sacred treasures whose disappearance tells stories of conflict and loss. Ever misplaced your keys and wished for a divine relic-finding app? Now imagine losing actual Buddha relics. That's karma's ultimate lost and found challenge. Tracking down these sacred fragments is tougher than a monk hunting Wi-Fi in a Himalayan cave. For centuries, ancient Buddhist stupas, those spire-topped mounds housing bits of the Buddha, have been the world's oldest and most sacred hide-and-seek arenas. Take Emperor Ashoka. He sliced the Buddha's remains into countless mini-packages and mailed them across Asia. Call it the first international relic registry, or a logistical headache of epic proportions. Unsurprisingly, some got lost, snatched by jealous kings, crafty monks, or most likely, doomed 3rd century record-keeping. Archaeologists stumble upon these missing treasures now and then, only to find the relics spark more mysteries than answers. The relic trade, powered by the glow of enlightenment, has prompted forgeries, wild goose chases, and Indiana Jones-worthy escapades. For Buddhist communities, these relics aren't just bone fragments, they're spiritual anchors, turning origin stories and whereabouts into front-page headlines. Why the obsession? Because everyone loves a relic-hunting saga. Even if Buddha's bones had frequent flyer miles, they'd have been to Nirvana and back by now. The movement of such relics often mirrors the tragic pathways through which the Black Death may have spread along the Silk Road. Picture a travel influencer racking up likes with a killer selfie, except swap Instagram for the 14th century Silk Road, and likes for, well, a death toll that makes your follower count look like a joke. Many think the Silk Road was basically the VIP shuttle service for the Black Death, barreling doom from China to Europe with the gusto of a 5-star Uber driver on a hurry-up shift. But let's bust that epic myth, shall we? Yes, the Black Death, the bubonic plague, slashed through Europe, Asia, and North Africa in the mid-1300s, coining the world's first trending hashtag, "So much doom." But did globe-trotting adventurers like Marco Polo personally courier plague as a creepy travel souvenir? Not quite. The real influencers were rats, flaunting their flea entourage, the original backpackers who never packed a bar of soap. Sure, the Silk Road helped goods, animals, and unwanted flea-infested freeloaders cross borders as easily as your aunt forwarding cat memes. Yet the blame doesn't rest solely on one dusty caravan trail. The Black Death also surfed oceans, dropped in on Mongol sieges for snacks, and crashed European shindigs with zero RSVP. So while the Silk Road wasn't the sole villain, if LinkedIn awarded badges for networking, this route would snag global pest distributor hands down. As diseases traveled unseen, so did secret knowledge encoded in undeciphered scripts waiting to be unlocked. Imagine staring at a page so baffling, even Google Translate throws up its hands and says, "Nope, not today." Welcome to the exclusive club of ancient cryptic scripts, where Linear A, the Indus script, and the Voynich manuscript lounge around, smirking behind walls of inscrutable squiggles. These aren't the doodles of bored teenager scribblers. They're peppered with repeating symbols, teasing patterns, and hints that they once spun fascinating tales. It's like stumbling upon a treasure chest locked so insanely you suspect the pirate lost the key just to mess with us. Decoding attempts have ranged from, let's swap every symbol for a vowel and hope for magic, to wild conspiracies involving aliens, knights, or basically anyone with too much free time. Some supposed translations have the credibility of a password 2023 hack attempt. Plausible, but hopelessly doomed. The real linguists come armed with frequency analysis, contextual comparisons, and the relentless search for any Rosetta Stone equivalent. But with such scant samples, or maybe elaborate pranks, it's no shock that these codes stay stubbornly sealed. Nowadays, armies of crowdsourcers and AI algorithms pore over the glyphs, while armchair Sherlocks jump into the fray. Because deep down, cracking these puzzles could unlock lost worlds, and finally prove that ancient scribes really should have just stuck to emojis. Decoding ancient writings brings to light tales of prized possessions, like the formidable Fergana horses deemed invincible in battle. Ever heard of horses so tough they earned the nickname blood sweating? No, this isn't the plot of a B-movie mashup called Equine Vampires of Central Asia. Meet the Fergana horses, the true main event of ancient horsepower. Fierce, fast, and so resilient that Chinese emperors practically drooled over them. These steeds were the ultimate status symbol of antiquity. Sorry, chariots. If Ferganus roamed today, Ferrari might be out of business. Let's clear the stable air. Fergana horses weren't sinking fangs into rivals under moonlight. That blood-sweating legend comes from a dramatic side effect. Red sweat caused by pesky skin parasites. Not quite as romantic as imagined, but hey, not much more glamorous than gym rat's salty post-workout selfies. And at least the horses didn't need an overpriced sports drink. When your horse is so famous, emperors send entire armies just to nab one. Who needs a LinkedIn profile? These coveted equines sparked wars, fueled Silk Road trade, and inspired centuries of horse snobbery, bridging east, west, and every stable in between. Legends of these mighty horses intertwine with stories of a lost Roman legion rumored to have ventured deep into China. Did a ragtag bunch of Roman soldiers really wander all the way into ancient China? Or is this just ancient fanfiction gone gloriously rogue? The legend kicks off at Carhae, where thousands of Romans got snatched by the Parthians. Instead of grabbing early retirement, some say these legionaries were marched eastward until they stumbled upon what's now the remote Chinese village of Liqian. Cue the eyebrow raisers. Check out those noses. Those eyes. Their kung fu skills. And those mysterious walls. Did Rome's finest bricklayers moonlight in Gansu province? But here come the scientists, crashing the historically improbable party. DNA tests? Nope. No solid Roman genetic cameo, just local Asian ancestry with a sprinkle of Silk Road spice. Ancient records? None whisper Centurion Publius was here. Love the noodles. Maybe Lycian's quirks come from traders or pure imagination, not toga-toting tourists. Modern historians concur. While it's a fantastic yarn, the odds that Romans built China's first takeout empire are infinitesimal. So chopstick that into your history bowl and savor the myth instead. While Romans marched east, the luxurious jade trade flourished along routes like the famed Jade Road of Khotan. Ever wonder how a humble desert rock went from dusty pebble to the envy of emperors and merchants alike? Welcome to Khotan Jade's origin story. Part myth, part geology, all high-stakes drama. Legend claims Khotan's prized jade plunged from celestial hands or tumbled off a riverbank. 10 points for theatrical flair, minus a few for science class. The truth? Ancient Chinese texts, dating back to 200 BC, gush about Yu sparkling along the Urungkash and Karakash rivers. Enter geologists, the ultimate party poopers. This jade isn't divine treasure but the result of a tectonic plate tango and mountains packed with quirky minerals. The locals, unimpressed by celestial claims, scooped up those smooth jade pebbles and launched a centuries-long trade marathon with Silk Road caravans. Then there's the Jade Gate. Sounds like the royal entrance to a gemstone palace, but it's really just a clever name for a bustling shipping hub loaded with green rocks. Khotan Jadi? It's nephrite. Tough, creamy, built to outlast marathons, not delicate enough for a porcelain teacup. And control of the mines? An ancient stock market soap opera. Everyone wanted in, but few walked away with both sanity and their shirts intact. The exchange of jade parallels the enigmatic production and trade of ancient glass, another prized commodity along these paths. Imagine stumbling upon glass so tough it would make modern Tupperware blush. Welcome to the enigma of ancient glass. Long before your kitchen cupboards groaned under BPA-free containers, Romans were casually sipping from goblets and hoarding vases so indestructible that dropping one wouldn't even rattle a senator's stiff upper lip. Enter the legend of Vitrum Flexile, a shape-shifting glass cup that could dent but never break, allegedly flaunted before Emperor Tiberius himself. Sorry, Pyrex, Romans were flexing centuries before you showed up. But ancient glass wasn't just about indestructible drinkware. It had a flair for drama, notorious for changing colors. Hold a Roman cup to the light, and suddenly you're sipping wine from a liquid prism. Emperors cheered, archaeologists scratched their heads, and everyone else wondered if this was just Rome's earliest marketing gimmick. Fast forward to today. Archaeologists unearth ancient glassware from pharaohs' tombs, shipwrecks, and what might as well be the lost Tupperware aisle of museum basements. Scientific tests reveal wild isotopes, trapped air bubbles, and mysterious chemical cocktails. It was luxury, yes, but also everyday Tupperware, centuries before leftovers were even a thing. Myth-busting moment. Despite all the head-scratching, ancient glass wasn't alien-made. Or was it? Let's not kick off another History Channel conspiracy special just yet. Behind the trade of such precious materials lay secret Silk Road kingdoms, shadow empires veiled in mystery and power. Picture a bustling desert metropolis where caravans overflow with gold, spices, and silk, and Instagram stories would be nothing but camelback selfies and humble brags about rare horses, if only anyone noticed. Most folks imagine the Silk Road as a lonely, dusty trail. In reality, it was a dazzling constellation of city-states like Sogdiana, Fergana, and Khotan. These kingdoms weren't mere pit stops. They were the savvy middlemen of antiquity, raking in fortunes from east-west trade while blissfully unaware that future historians would struggle to spell their names, let alone find them on a map. Silk was just the opening act. Jade, horses, paper, and even entire belief systems coursed through these realms, each kingdom wheeling and dealing, sometimes settling disputes with cloak-and-dagger diplomacy, sometimes with cutthroat haggling worthy of a modern bazaar. Archaeology is only now catching up to their full grandeur. Imagine ancient Las Vegas, minus the slot machines but with a hefty side of espionage. Modern travelers might not recognize Sogdiana, but with riches, influence, and negotiation skills that would put Wall Street to shame, these kingdoms are history's true MVPs, the wealthiest hidden gems Google Maps still hasn't bothered to highlight. These hidden realms echo in the haunting melodies carried by the desert winds, inspiring tales like the Song of the Desert Winds. Ever tried composing a lullaby with a sandstorm backup choir? Welcome to the desert, where the wind's always stealing the spotlight. Forget napping. Out here, whistle while you work isn't just Disney magic. It's the desert's all-day playlist, brought to you by relentless breezes. Folks imagine sandstorms as rare, Mad Max-style showdowns. Nope. The desert wind shows up more often than your neighbor's cat, carrying sand, seeds, hats, and sometimes your dignity miles away. This gusty maestro sculpts everything, literally. Camels flaunt fabulous eyelashes, not for glamour, but as sand shields, while nomads treat their daily dust-off like a morning coffee ritual. The wind flips daytime heat into nighttime chills in a snap and keeps entire ecosystems grooving, mixing up pollen, temperature swings, and unsuspecting wildlife. Humans, stubborn as ever, struck back with ancient wind towers and, more recently, solar panel dusting gigs. Talk about a dusty day job. From swooping dunes to leaning cacti, boy band auditions, anyone? The wind leaves clues everywhere. Next mission: decode the secret codes these swirling sand patterns have been whispering all along. Amidst the whispers of desert songs, intrigue unfolds as spice saboteurs work in the shadows to control the valuable trade. Ever wondered who injected some villainous heat into bland British cuisine? Meet the original spice saboteurs, long before bland earned its unofficial status as Britain's national flavor. The myth? That British food was doomed to be plain and dreary forever. The truth? Medieval English kitchens were more like spicy nightclubs, with saffron, cinnamon, and pepper crashing the party on the reg. And yes, pies sometimes came with live birds, delighting everyone except the poor feathered guests. Things got even hotter when the British Empire threw open the spice vaults. "Spice must flow" became the covert imperial anthem. Colonizers returned home clutching nutmeg, cloves, and a growing anxiety over how on earth to say cardamom. These exotic imports didn't just jazz up plates, they jazzed up wallets too, making spices as trendy as a feathered hat at court. But then came the backlash. The Victorian love affair with boiled cabbage and all things plain. Oops! It wasn't sabotage so much as a culinary crowd control mishap, where the empire's passion for flavor accidentally spilled over and doused traditional recipes, leaving today's British cuisine on a quest to rediscover its lost zing.